Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Number honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessing, salutations to the hopefully elect. So, Brother Isaiah with the Pittsburgh GMS camp, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakadash, Lord willing. This lesson is edifying. All right, and the script, basically the lesson is going to be something to the effect of, we don't owe you an explanation. Okay, we don't owe you an explanation. Now, this is all going behind this the North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, the rally, Raleigh, however you pronounce it, Carolina, the Elder Hawad camp out there. They was approached by a Sakari member, okay, asking questions about things that have already been edified on. Speaking of Ezekiel 38, okay, and they kind of was saying that, the scriptures say you got to provide an answer. Okay, now I want to go into that, but I also want to go into the fact that Yahweh Shai didn't answer every question. Okay. Now, there were certain reasons why he didn't answer those questions, such as they were asking these questions with guile, okay, to try to trap him in his words. Now, the dude from Zakari said, well, that ain't what I'm trying to do. Basically, he said, I ain't trying to do it with no evil intentions. But, whether you realize it or not, you are, okay, because when you come to men asking the same question over and over about things that have been edified, there's something that's implied by that. What's implied by that is that you don't believe the breakdown. You don't believe what the elders and apostles have spoken on, and you want to keep on asking these questions over and over again. Okay? Now, if you want to be honest, there's a lot of things that the Sakari, or there's a few things that the Sakari have not grasped while you asking these different questions about. Basically, I'm going to get the scripture. It says, because prophecy and these certain things are, they're no private interpretation. But there are certain things that are plain, okay, that you guys just can't get. Matthew 23 and, let me just get the point of 24, right? It says, ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Okay? Now, there's certain scriptures that will be considered as a gnat, even though they are emotional things that people have trouble dealing with. Okay, these scriptures are very small in their explanation needing, such as the law on grape. Grape. Okay, and if you don't know what I'm speaking of, okay, when a woman is forcefully taken by a man, okay, that's what, nowadays you can't say the word minus the G. You got to say grape, right? Because everybody's so sissified that they get offended by that word. Well, there's certain laws on how they would handle it if these situations arose. But people are they're straining so hard to make it mean something other than what it means. Okay? It literally tells you, if a man take a woman and he forcibly lay with her, this is what you do if she's married. This is what you do if she was promised to somebody else, and this is what you would do if she was a single woman. These are the things that you do in each scenario. But you got camps like the Sakari that they can't grasp this. This don't need no interpretation. It's plain in the scriptures what you do in these situations. But here it is. You want to battle the apostles. You can't grasp that, but you want to swallow this camel going into this prophecy of Ezekiel 38, and you got it. Think about it. When you go into this swallow a camel, you know how you got some. You might have a dog, or you might even have a human being. Like a child or something. When they eat, they don't really chew their food. They swallow it whole. And that's basically what you're doing with this prophecy. You know, you're just swallowing it. You ain't digesting it. You ain't taking your time to chew it. Okay, but the scriptures talk about strong meat. You know, you're turning something that's not necessarily strong meat, which the prophecies can be strong meat to somebody who's not well learned, but you're turning something that's don't have to be that strong of a meat into a well done steak. Okay, a super over well done steak. Let me say that, because you know most Jake like their food fully cooked. You know, because we ain't with that blood shit. But let's get to the point, right? Because of the prophecy, the scriptures give you guidelines, okay, to keep your mind in check. I said this in my quick lesson that I did. They give you certain guidelines to keep your mind in check as to what is going to happen in future prophecy. Hebrews 5:14 says, "But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil." When you go into Ezekiel 38 and it talks about another nation rising up, you got to understand that the English is there to trip you up. The English is there to make you read it and be like, oh, look at that. And then you know, like the whole virgin birth thing, the whole immaculate conception. If you read it verbatim in the English, you're going to say, oh man, the Messiah. Yeah, man. Yeah. She didn't know Joseph yet. Yeah, she didn't have sex yet. If you read it according to the English, right? But when you go into the precepts, you understand, hey man, she would have had to have slept with Joseph. Okay, there's so many reasons where it's like, look, why didn't Joseph get her stoned? Why? Before the angel came to Joseph, he should have been suspecting her of adultery. Why didn't he suspect her of adultery? Why was he trying to hide her pregnancy? You see, if he wasn't the one that got her pregnant, because he fell asleep. It says that he fell asleep, man. You know, and I wasn't really intending into going into that, but I just want to, you know, prove all things about this. I said he fell asleep. Let me make sure, right? Matthew 1. Okay, Salakia, he didn't go to sleep. Now let's go into it. It said, oh yeah, he was asleep. Salakia, he was asleep. Okay, verse 19. Then Joseph, her husband, see, he's already being called her husband right here. What does a husband do? Husbandry goes into planting and keeping a household. So he's already planted the seed at this point, being called her husband. You see, there's a difference between being espoused and being a husband. Now, we're still just dabbling in the English right now. The English will trip you up, right? But it says, then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. Why is he thinking about hiding this pregnancy if he ain't the one that got her pregnant? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to extrapolate, and sometimes you got to let the precepts be a blinder unto you. So when you read Ezekiel 38 and you say, well, damn, it looked like God gonna come back once Yahushua established his kingdom. How they gonna beat Yahushua? Yahushua gonna come beat everybody to power with chariots and nukes and spiritual power, and then God gonna raise his bitch ass up somehow? This nigga ain't gonna have the power to raise up against. Come on, man. It don't make sense. So you gotta stop yourself. You gotta be like, wait a minute, hold on. You know, you got people out here that think that they Yahushua. A demon pop in their mind and tell them, you Yahushua. Well, if they were smart, they would, or if the Lord would let them, let's say that, they would say, well, wait a minute. It said Yahushua gonna come back and every eye gonna see him. Ain't no every eye looking at me, so I can't be Yahushua. There's certain things that are there to stop you from bugging out. You see? And one of those things is that when we get into the kingdom, we're not going to learn war anymore. No longer should, it says, let's get this. None. In order for somebody to be a threat, they have to make you afraid. Matter of fact, look, we're here in Ezekiel. We're in the book of Ezekiel. Let me make sure it's this 34, and let's go to verse 28. Ezekiel 34. And let me see if it's anything above that. Come on, man. This is in the kingdom. Come on, man. Verse 22. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall be no more be a prey. And I will judge between cattle and cattle, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. And he shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. And I, Yahweh, will be their power, and my servant David a prince among them. And I, Yahweh, have spoken it. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness, and sleep in the woods. And I will make them and the places round about my hill, a blessing. And I will cause the shower to come down in his season, and there shall be showers of blessing. And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase. You see, this is the kingdom. And they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen. Neither shall the beast of the field of Salakia, neither shall the beast of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown. You see, that was the point I wanted right there. And none shall make them afraid. This is one of those scriptures to make you be like, oh, I know Ezekiel 38 seems to be saying this, but maybe I'm mistaken, because, hey, it says ain't nobody gonna make us afraid once we in the kingdom. These are just some of the things that should stop you from bugging out. So we don't owe you an answer, beyond the videos and beyond what we've already said, when you could come up to a camp and say, oh, I watched the video, but I don't agree, and I got more questions. Too bad. Because we done already went into the precept. Hey, man, you gotta quit. Look, see? You straining at a gnat. The precepts are there. Well, you swallowing a camel, Salakia, and you still straining at a gnat. Okay? Work on receiving what the scriptures say about the graping. What happens to a grapist before you start trying to tackle the deeper mysteries. Okay? All right? So, hey, man. Now, I want to go, let me see if I can find a precept real quick. Right. Okay, there was an example in Mark 11. Now let me see if I can get straight to the point. Okay. Mark 11. So in Mark 11, basically, he asked by what authority was the baptism, I believe, of let me make sure. Yeah, was the baptism of John of the Most High, or was it of men? And they couldn't answer the question, and so he didn't have to answer their question. So if you come up to us, if we ask you, okay, what happens when a young woman is raped? What's according to the scriptures? What's the judgment? If you can't answer the question, we ain't got to answer your question. Okay? Because y'all teach that men should be put to death for raping. All right. When if she wasn't married, that wasn't the case. Okay, she wasn't married, that wasn't the case. But I've heard your leader say that harsh punishments should happen to men that are not detailed in the Bible. Okay, for these same acts. All right, but nevertheless, man. Now, when we get this, he tried to use this scripture. 1 Peter 3:15 says, "But sanctify the Lord power in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you." And now it says to ask you what? A reason of the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear. So we're required to give you an answer for the reason of why we have the hope that we have. Okay? Well, Ezekiel 38 ain't why we got the hope that we have. We got the hope that we have because Yahweh Shai promised us that we would, not go off anymore, that we would be saved from the land of the north, so on and so forth. These are the things that we're going to answer to you a reason of our hope. All right. These are the things we're gonna say. So anyway, that's it. Lord willing, you are edified. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honor to the apostles. Shalom until next time.